The first step in any appointment is to set goals. So let's talk about planning and strategizing in tutoring sessions. Now, why is it important to set goals in a tutoring session? Well, you need to prioritize. Remember, you only get a restricted amount of time with that student, so it's important that you be efficient. Also, it increases student involvement and understanding in the process. If they can understand why you're talking about certain things, then it helps them to think about it later. Also, it creates a focus for the appointment so that you always have something to fall back on. And students can use it to model goal-setting strategies in their future assignments so that they're familiar with what they should be prioritizing when they're making revisions. So how do we set goals? Well, first of all, use questions. You can ask them when they first sit down, after you've introduced yourself. What are you most concerned about? What is the most important thing that you would like to work on? This helps set the stage, and then you can use your active listening techniques that we learned about to let them talk and to think about what it is they're really saying and what it is they really need. Now, you can also use what they're saying and rearrange it in your head to prioritize higher order concerns over lower order concerns. To do this, you can make a little to-do list either verbally or in writing, and then afterwards you communicate that with the student. Okay, first of all, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, and if we have time, we can address this. For instance, if you're going to be prioritizing higher order concerns, first get the organization of your paper. Then we'll look at sentence structure, and if we have time, then we can look at small things like grammar and punctuation. Explain your reasoning. Students need to understand why you're doing it this way. Well, because you seem to be most concerned with how your paper flows, we're going to look at organization first. Since your biggest issue seems to be verb tenses, we'll probably stick to lower order concerns unless we see something bigger. So, throughout the appointment, after you've made this list, you need to keep track of your progress. This can be done visually or this can be done verbally. You can write lists, let them know in writing what's going on, and you can just check everything off that list or erase everything off that list as you go through it. You can draw charts to let them see how everything connects and how you prioritize things. You can use color coding to show those priorities, or just throughout you can be giving little reminders. Hey, this is what we're going to do, and then as you go through, well, that's an interesting point and we want to look at it, but first we said we were going to address this. So let's look at that first. So let's take a look at an example of an answer that a student could give and how we could translate that into a list of priorities. So you ask them, what is your biggest concern today? And the student answers, I'm not sure that it sounds right. I want to make sure that it flows smoothly and makes sense. Oh, and I'm not sure about my thesis statement. Does it make sense? I'm a little confused about it. So they've just thrown a lot of information at you, but you're using your active listening techniques to be paying attention to what they're saying. You can be taking notes or you can be just thinking about it. And you notice that they say that they want it to flow smoothly. If they want it to flow smoothly, obviously they're concerned about organization and maybe transitions. They want it to make sense, so they're probably wanting to worry about sentence structure. And they said directly that they want to work on the thesis statement. So now you're going to prioritize that into higher order down to lower order concerns. First of all with the thesis statement, then organization, transitions, and then the sentence structure. Then you're going to communicate that to them, either verbally or written, as we discussed. So first of all, we're going to identify the thesis statement in your paper because you said that that's important to you. Then, since you said that you want it to flow smoothly, we'll focus on organization. If we don't see major issues with that, then we'll probably just look at your transitions and make sure that that helps it flow smoothly. And at the end of each paragraph, we'll probably stop and address any sentence structure issues if I happen to see patterns. If you follow this formula and you make sure that you set goals at the beginning of each appointment, it keeps it focused, and thus at the end of the appointment, the student leaves feeling satisfied and having gotten as much help from it as they could.